Yeah, that's right. It's nothing but Netflix. And it's me, your host, Chappell, here, back to talk about the most popular thing that has ever hit Netflix in the history of Netflix ever. That's right. It's K pop Demon Hunters. And with me, I had to go to someone straight out of the RHAP Discord. I consider Alyssa a friend, but Alyssa, welcome, friend.
Thank you so much, friend. And I'm so happy to be on this podcast with you. I've watched this movie this movie has become my personality this summer, as well as I went to the sing along. I very much enjoy this movie a lot. And it's crazy that it's still number one on Netflix. In fact, I think the movie's number one and the sing along is number two in the top 10. So it's taking up top number one and number two spots.
Yeah, I heard somewhere that K-pop Demon Hunters was so big that now like the songs are even like the top songs on Billboard right now. So everything about this movie has just completely taken over the world at this point. And so it happened a couple months ago. The movie drops, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, there's a new animated project out. It's a musical for the kids, probably. I'm not gonna check it out, but I'm sure I'll hear about it. But then I couldn't escape it. It was everywhere. Everybody was talking about it, especially my little cousin. My little cousin told me the other day, she's like, you need to grow up. You need to go watch K-pop Demon Hunters so we can talk about it. You need to have me on your podcast. I was like, you can't come on, you're 12, but I will talk to somebody about it. If someone's out there who's passionate enough about this, and Elisa, you are very passionate about the K-pop Demon Hunters. So please tell us what it was that drew you to this and why it's such a big deal now.
So, in general, I've been a K-pop fan for a while. I consume a lot of Korean content and media. It's like I've started listening to K-pop since 2012. Like I started with Big Bang, like very old school groups and girls' generation. And I remember when I first heard this movie was coming out, and this movie was also through Sony Animation and ImageWorks. They're the people that do Spider-Verse. I thought
Mm.
this is a cool topic. I love K-pop and I really like the animation style that Sony has had. And hey, I'll just check it out. What the At a minimum, I would think it's fine. But I watched the movie, and even though it's an animated kids movie, it has so much heart to it. You can tell that the people who created the movie did their research on just Korean culture in general. There's a lot of fun tidbits in the movie. The music is crafted really well. They enlist legit a lot of producers and songwriters from the K-pop industry to help write these songs. And there's so much that's into it. It's not a direct comparison, but I feel the amount of research that was done in for Sinners, for example, and just
Mm.
a lot of the care put into that. I feel that same amount of respect and culture was put into this movie as well.
Which is cool because again, like at first glance, I just thought, oh, this is another anime or animated type film. It's a musical. It's for the kids, but like you said, you can tell that it's a lot deeper. There's some themes in there that really stood out to me as like, oh, this feels a little bit more mature. I can understand why kids like it, but also why adults are seemingly, kind of latching onto it. The fact that this is probably the biggest thing Netflix will ever do is already incredible to me because it's just not something that we normally see in the Netflix top 10. I know a lot about the Netflix top 10 because this is what we do here on Nothing But Netflix. But to see now that this has made such a big impact on everybody, I could tell it was something I need to pay attention to. And when I watched it, I was thoroughly surprised at how entertaining it was for me. Like I'm not into a lot of K-pop. I listen to here and there, dabble a little bit, but I'm definitely not as deep into anime as I would like, or this type of animation. I've seen Spider-Verse, but other than that, like it's not really my bag. And so I came in like optimistic about liking it, and then by the end I was really enjoying it. I was enjoying the characters, I was enjoying the song, and so I'm very happy to be able to talk through some of these things that you said, like you said, it's very deep into a lot of the culture, and they took a lot of care in making it. And I would love to hear some of the nuance that you found in the film as we talk it through. Are you okay with that?
Yes, absolutely. I like to use this comparison. I think this is Netflix's Frozen. Like this is the
Mm.
movie. I think this is the animated movie they will come out with in their lifetime. So this is a phenomenon at this point.
Yeah, I saw so many good reviews about it. I mean, again, I didn't even know what to expect coming in, and I won't even say that it was something that I expected. I kind of like, like you hear about it, it's like, oh, okay, they got pop stars, they're hunting demons. I've seen enough anime to know what that's probably going to look like. But I was very surprised at one, the like how polished it was. Uh,
Yes.
Almost felt like at times you weren't watching just something that was animated. It felt like very realistic in a way, but also very cartoony. It was funny, and the music was really good. I think that that's one thing that like you by mentioning Frozen, you definitely highlight that is that sometimes the songs can make or break a movie. And I think because they used real K-pop artists and like writers and things for this movie, it really showed because
Yes.
songs were bops. I'm sorry, from out the gate, the first song I said, "Oh, okay, I can get into this because I do like the music." And so all that is like underscoring this deeper storyline. Considering we have these three pop stars, and apparently some lore that goes back to maybe these pop stars have been doing this for decades and centuries, protecting the world from demons with their song and also by killing the demons. So it gave me layers right off the bat.
Yeah, exactly. And with the hunters or the huntrixes, it's loosely based off of Korean shamanism and how a shaman or a mudang would use singing or just use rituals to drive demons and evil spirits away. So the hunters or the huntrixes, they're shamans really, and they're just pushing all of the evil away, and they're releasing this Han Moon so that it creates a shield and protects the whole world from demons. It's there's a lot. It's really interesting. Just the just already off the bat, the world that we established like for generations and generations.
Right. And so this current iteration, we have the three protagonists in here, as you call them, the Huntrix, Mira, Zoe, and Rumi. Now, from what I can understand, people have already started latching on and figuring out who their favorites are. Do you have a favorite of the Huntrixes?
I do have a favorite, and my favorite's Mira, who
I
is
think Mira's the fan favorite. She's
yeah.
got to be right.
For first of all, I love a girl that wears glasses as a person that wears glasses. So she's very stylish. I mean, they're all, for the record, they're all stylish, but I really like the way that she's drawn specifically. And I just love how she is such this rough, exterior character, but she cares so much about all of them. In fact, she's the one that confronts Rumi throughout the whole movie, like, "Hey, are you okay? Is everything all right?" She is, I think, one of the backbones of the group. Like, we wouldn't be able to have this group without her. Do
Yeah.
you stand? Do you stand anyone?
I do love me some Mira. I was actually texting Brian Scally about this because
Okay.
he loves this movie, and he was like, "Oh, you have to tell me who your favorites are." And within 3 seconds, I was like, "So it sounds like you're a Mira boy." And he's like, "How'd you know?" I was like, "Stop it, stop it." But no, I like Mira. I like Zoe. Obviously, I think I'm more of a Zoe type in my
Mm-hmm.
personality. I'm a little bubbly like that. But
Yes.
then Rumi's also a very interesting character. She's kind of our lead here.
Yes.
If this is Destiny's Child, she's the Beyonce of the group, but she also has like this dark secret that we get into throughout the film. Um, One thing we will notice with the demons is that they have these patterns on their skin, and we will see that Rumi, she dressed very modestly up, in her arms and areas, and she has very covered up
Yes, she
because she's
does.
trying to keep people from seeing that she has these patterns too, because she is half demon. Now, one thing that I don't know that the movie really explained to me in depth is like how she became half demon. Now we know her mom is not a demon. Her mom is a former one of these hunters. So we assume her dad is a demon. Do we get any more information like that? Did I miss it?
Okay. We don't get any details beyond who the dad is, and there is sort of a throwaway line in the movie where Guima is the name of the ultimate demon flame that goes, "Oh, Rumi is a demon, but like I'm not, like I didn't touch that. I don't know how that happened." So her dad, there's a sequel being planned. It might cover how it might cover how everything came to be, how she became a demon.
Yeah, I figured as much because one, I ain't never known Netflix to leave money on the table, right? And if they're
True.
making this kind of money off of the first one, I'm surprised there's not a television series and and three other movies that are already being greenlit, probably a reality show spinoff as well. Like there's so much that Netflix could do with this, but you're right, they did leave that open where we knew Rumi felt like I must be a mistake, right? There's no way that
Hmm.
my mom purposely went and had a demon child. And so something happened, but we never really dive into it. And like you said, Guima would have been who I would have looked at as maybe this could potentially be the dad. He's kind of like our big demon in this, but he says, no, not me, sorry. And so we can definitely spend another movie kind of fleshing this out and seeing what it looks like when we go back and figure out where she came from. Because we see that she's dispatched by a woman named, is it Seline, who sends
Celine.
them out? Yeah, Seline adopts her. But what is the relationship between Seline and the prior hunters? Like, do we know anything more about her backstory?
Yes. So Celine and Rumi's mom, they were part of the previous K-pop group before the Huntrix, which they were called the Sunlight Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know why, but Rumi's mom passes away, and Celine sort of picks her up and adopts her and takes care of her. And then Celine helps bring together this new era of hunters as well in the next generation K-pop group.
Okay. Okay. That makes more sense. So throughout the movie, I was definitely questioning where the hell Celine was at. There were definitely moments where am I tripping? Like they seem like they're fighting for the future of humanity, and at times they were losing, and Celine is nowhere to be found.
So I had the same thought. If there was one thing that I wish the movie showed a little bit more of, it was to show more of Celine and just sort of where, just where she fits. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, Chappelle. I thought Celine was dead for majority of just like that
Yeah.
generation, but more so from a standpoint, they all like passed away. Like this is the new
Mm-hmm.
generation. I didn't think much of Celine until the end, which we'll get to eventually, where it turns out she's still alive. And I thought, wait, she's been alive this whole time? How come we've never seen much of her?
Yeah. They don't get into any of it, and
We,
we talk a lot about Celine throughout this because one
we
of the
do.
mottos that Celine has passed down, very problematic lady this Celine person is,
Yes, she
because
is.
she has informed the hunters. I guess their motto is that they have to be strong with their voices, but they also have to hide their faults and fears, and they must never be
Yes,
seen. And so now throughout, we almost have this theme of like, if you have problems, you should suppress them, keep them to yourself, don't air them out, and no matter what you do, don't let anybody in. Build a wall essentially. And the person with the biggest wall, as Mira will point out, is Rumi, because she's
exactly.
hiding the biggest secret. And by the end of this, we realize that if she is like not hiding that secret, maybe her voice wouldn't be faltering. Maybe she wouldn't be dealing with some of this stuff. But this is Celine's fault. She's the one who told them to act like this.
Exactly. Celine has not, if once we get to the end, Celine has not been a supportive mother or aunt role this entire time. She's been having Rumi hide her identity as a demon since she was a kid. Straight up, we have flashbacks at the beginning where Rumi is a kid and we see her scars for the first time, and immediately it's, oh, you have to hide that. It's funny, when I first watched the movie, I didn't clock that there was going to be this underlying layer of shame and not being and not being proud of yourself, and older generations or people telling you to hide who you are and your identity for the greater good. I got to say, Chappelle, it's a very common trope, and it's a very common thing in Asian culture of just very much just, oh, like, keep that, don't tell anyone about this, keep that down, like, you're gonna be okay, but it's not okay. It's they integrated that very well into this movie, where it's like, just like, if you're thinking about it, it's easy to understand, but also if you're just a kid, you're enjoying it. But I really enjoyed this aspect, and I feel if there's a sequel, we can have more Celine for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because that's what I wanted to know throughout. I never took my eyes off of her because she's kind of who introduces the story to us. And so for me, I was thinking, okay, eventually, like Celine, I was kind of looking at her as like she's Zordon, right? And she's got these
Yes,
Power
yes,
Rangers. And so eventually they're gonna go back and report back to Celine. And they never do. They're kind of on their own. They're building
exactly.
their Yeah, they're building their own fan base, and they're basically just using pop music to save the world. They do fight some demons, and there are some very cool fight scenes, some very funny ones as well, where the demons are pretending to be people, but it's very clear that they don't know what they're doing because they're demons. But the entire time I was thinking, okay, at some point we're going to get a follow up with Seline. And the more we learn about her, the more I was just disappointed in her teachings. You know, I was like,
Exactly.
these girls are supposed to be powerful. You apparently have been in this position before, but you've left them with minimal tools to deal with this, especially someone like Rumi, who has probably the biggest secret of them all, right? Is the fact that she is part demon. And it does seem like these patterns are starting to affect her negatively, because when they go out to perform, her voice is starting to like falter a little bit. So I was waiting on her to show up, and she doesn't until the end.
Exactly. There is more Ken Jeong and Bobby and their
Yes.
stage manager than there is Seline throughout the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like you would think that there is a scene where Rumi calls up Seline, "Hey, there's scars on my chest now and I can't sing. Can you help out?"
Yeah.
And that never happened. Yeah, and to this movie, it is only an hour and a half. Like, it's a fairly short movie, so I am aware there are some stuff that was cut. And this could have been one of those things. There's just I think what helps is if there's a prequel or a sequel, it does open it up to talk more about Seline and also Rumi's mom, and there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, so they end up performing very early on. They fight the demons. The crowd is going wild, and you think they're about to take a break, but Rumi's not having it. She's like, "No, we got to move on to the next song. We're dropping the next single." She's kind of giving you like, "Oh, she's the workaholic of the group," but she's
Yes.
really trying to beat this deadline. She can tell that, okay, these patterns are starting to go all over her. She's turning basically, and so she's trying to do this golden honeymoon thing very quickly, right? So she can shut this down, the demon stuff will leave, and she can move on with her life. And so they end up having to go and find a tonic. They go to like a shady medicine guy who's like, oh, pretending that he's really good at this kind of thing, but he's got like some fake clientele. Basically, they go find him in disguise because they are mega pop stars. And she goes to get this tonic, and they run into our antagonist here, led by Genu. We meet the Saja Boys, and they their depiction is very interesting to me, because they're given, there's five of them as opposed to the three we have in the girl group. So I've seen a lot of K-pop bands and a lot of the boy groups kind of be kind of this version of K-pop, right? Like it's five of them. There's like the lead singer. They rotate members out probably, but we got one guy who's really standing out, and that's Genu, because he is the lead demon who decided to get this group together to battle the Huntrixes, take their fan base, and then feed the fan base's souls to Guima. Is that correct?
That is correct. And the Saja Boys, it's so funny when I watch them, because I can think of at least 20 K-pop groups that match exactly the vibe of the Saja Boys. And I love that the way that they're breaking apart, they all have these different assigned personalities to themselves that they stick to, and it's very amusing. So, like, I think all of the five members are Genu, Abby because he has abs,
Mm-hmm.
Mystery, Romance, and Baby. But the funny thing about Baby, which I'm assuming is the baby looking and the youngest one, is he's actually the rapper of the group. So it's just it was a very fun play. And with the Saja Boys, do you know what the Saja Boys mean?
No.
So if you notice that on their light sticks and their sort of logo, the Saja Boys have a lion. So Saja means lie. It has two meanings. One, it means lion, and so that's why they have a lion logo, as well as their fandom name is called the
The
Pride.
pride, yeah.
And then Saja also means Grim Reaper, which relates, it's a double meaning. So it relates to the fact that they're going to sip you up and take your soul and feed it to Guima. And if you you want to take a bite of them, and yeah, it's very good with the over sexualized like bubblegum pop lyrics, which is very common in K-pop to have that. But also, it's also just, we're gonna steal your soul and take it. So and kill the Hanmoon. So it's very, very fun, this group. Do you have a Saja Boys? Do you stand anyone in the Saja Boys?
Well, it was really hard for me to latch on to anybody from the Saja Boys because they don't get a lot of personality moments. We get the quick little, like, obviously we see Abby signing he was signing autographs and it was just like on his abs. I thought that was very cool, but we don't learn as much about them as we do the Huntresses. Who's your favorite Saja Boy?
So I'm basic, and my favorite Saja Boys is just Genu. I just like in general that like I like the over like for any K-pop group, I like the person who's kind of the leader of the group. The person who sort of like does majority of the stuff and is well-rounded. It's funny because the actor who plays Genu also, I had no idea, but is in one of my favorite like K-dramas that I've watched. It's a comedy drama called Business Proposal, and it's funny when we see Genu for the first time. They play a song from the soundtrack of Business Proposal, and I'm just thinking, oh, that's from Business Proposal. That's funny. And then 1 hour later, and then I look at the credits, and I was like, wait, Genu is played by An Yosep? Like, that's crazy. Like, I didn't even know that he's a Canadian actor at all. So it's just like I'm immediately attracted to Genu. Like, I definitely stan him a lot.
Well, see, I was very suspicious of him because obviously he is a demon, right? So we knew that he could not be trusted, but we do get this like demon with a heart of gold kind of storyline for him because he ends up telling Rumi, because they have like a thing, right? There's definitely some will they, won't they between the two of them. He's clearly vying for his attention. These girls are smitten by these guys because they're made in a K-pop factory, right? They're just attractive dudes who sing.
Yes.
And so they're here to steal their fandoms. And so they have to be talented and attractive or they're not going to be able to do that. And so whenever Rumi and Genu are together, there's definitely some tension, right? Or like whether or not.
Oh, yes, there is.
Yeah, we're like borderline like kiss. Just go ahead and do it, kiss. But when we get his storyline, first of all, he's hundreds of years old, about over 400 years old. But he also was not originally a demon. He's telling us that Guima basically, I guess in a way, he kind of sold his soul to Guima, for fame and fortune, right? His family was on the street, and in order to save them, he does this thing where he becomes a demon. He does get off the street, but he pays the ultimate price. His family gets left behind. We will fast forward to that later on and see that his family doesn't exactly get left behind. He kind of leaves them for dead. But before we got there, I just couldn't let my guard down because he was a demon. But were you all in on this showmance from jump?
Okay. I assumed that there was going to be some sort of romance and that Genu and Rumi, Genu would be playing her to some degree. But I guess what I wasn't expecting was that even though Genu for sure was playing her in a lot of aspects, there was a side of him, which was the side that Rumi believed in, that genuinely was really thinking, wait, maybe if I take Rumi's side, I don't have to be a demon anymore, and I don't have to hear the voices of my mom and my sister crying. And so I guess what I would say is I knew Genu was a bad boy. I knew he was a bad boy. I expected it. It's fine. I'm still here. But I think that him turning a new leaf, I wasn't expecting him to go that way. I thought he was going to be a bad boy the whole time.
Yeah, well, we know a bad boy is a very popular trope in boy bands as well. So that was not a shock to me that he was like want to be kind of holding that space. And Rumi knowing that he's a demon, but also knowing that she's part demon, she had a lot of reason to kind of warm her heart to him a little bit. Like if she's not a demon at all, then she probably really can't see the humanity in him. And for a while they couldn't. Even in the lyrics, we will see that they will eventually go and make a diss track against the Saja Boys, and the lyrics they're cutthroat lyrics. I mean, they're basically like, demons, we want you dead. You are soulless. You will rot for eternity. Like, they are not pulling any punches until Rumi starts to see, okay, well, maybe he's not that bad of a guy, and our heart's not in it. But I don't know. The diss track was called Takedown, and I was all in on Takedown. I'm really sad that they did ultimately go with that as their performance in the end.
Oh, honestly, I'm also sad that they never formally performed the song "Takedown" in
Yeah.
just throughout the whole movie, because every song in this movie has like a 2-3, like gives a 2-3 minute snippet of just them singing the song, and when they finally perform "Takedown" at the end, it's only like 1 minute of it because they're fighting. But I really wanted to see the dance, and this song is a bop. This is one of my favorite songs of the whole entire movie, and it is very cutting, and this is what you were saying, when Rumi starts having an identity crisis too about herself. She realized, wait, are we talking about me? Like, were you
Yeah.
also just not liking the lyrics because it's talking about herself and she's ashamed of herself. So
Mhm.
there's a lot to be had, especially because Rumi thinks she's a mistake, and I think I think that especially with Takedown as the lyrics, it's such a versus song. It's very much the fan, like the music battle song where we're trying to be number one and not you, Saja Boys.
Do the K-pop bands beef like this as well? Like, is BTS ever dropping diss tracks against like somebody else?
So what I would say to that, and I want to needle through this very cautiously because even though I am a K-pop fan, I don't want K-pop fans to attack me
Yeah,
for
yeah.
this.
Ooh, oh,
Well, and
listen.
yeah, I don't want
Yeah.
this on my piece. So the K-pop groups themselves, because of the way that their companies run them and they manufacture them, majority of the time, a K-pop group will not have a diss track towards someone. It's very much just mainstream top 40 that we're going for. But what happens, of course, is that the fandoms just absolutely hate each other. Like, for example,
Yeah.
yeah, this is the perfect example. Honestly, a great to Huntrix versus Saja Boys is Blackpink versus BTS. And
Hmm.
we think that, oh god, these two groups hate each other because they're the top two groups, and therefore the fandoms create this war, like, oh my god, they don't like each other. And it's very much self-inflicted, but then when you find out that, oh, a member of BTS and Blackpink were dating each other the whole time. It's one of those things where they're never, if they truly don't like each other, they're never going to outright say it. But a lot of the hatred is definitely through the fandoms themselves of just thinking their group's number one.
Right. And the Pride here, they really kind of were supportive of Saja Boys and Huntrix linking up. We do see that,
Yes,
like they do like their joint autograph signing by mistake, and people are shipping Genu and Rumi.
everyone.
Yeah, everybody's getting shipped. I think Mira got shipped with two guys at the same time, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's like it's Rugino and then Rugino and then Zostri, Zoe and Mystery,
Hmm.
and I think it was like Miro Abby, like
Miro Abbey, yeah.
yes, of just we respect thruples here, and
Hmm. Hmm.
just everyone is being shipped, which I feel, by the way, is never happens. To be fair, this is to be fair, this is meant to be such a celebratory movie that I don't think they're actually going to show that. But fans are never like that. They don't actually feel
They don't want to
that way.
support it.
They
Yeah.
don't. They're not supporting their ships because they want to be the ones dating that idol instead.
Oh yeah, I've definitely picked up on that. Just even like years ago on Twitter when the K-pop fans really came out in droves, especially during like the height of BTS, like
Yeah,
when they first started hitting the scene popping, it was like, oh no, these people can't date anybody else because they're dating me. You know, like they're not allowed to
exactly.
date anybody else.
Exactly. That's why when one of the members of BTS, it was revealed they were dating someone from Blackpink, it kind of blew everyone's minds, because the two groups that everyone thought hated each other the whole time turns like it was dating in secret. But I support the healthy shipping that comes from this movie for sure. Especially like just shipping every single person in that group
Yeah,
in yeah. And,
yeah.
and a thruple, so why not?
Yeah, because they could have easily made this like a one for one, like, oh, it's three guys, three girls,
Exactly.
but no, they took the more adventurous route, and I really do support it. It was fun to watch. I like, as we talked about, I like the songs. I don't know if you said, but do you have a favorite song throughout this movie?
I do have a favorite song, and it may or may not be Soda Pop. It's
It's
just,
Soda Pop.
yeah, it's Soda Pop. It's when I first heard, because one of the things I love about just the K-pop genre is like you can have everything, but um one style I really like is just bubblegum pop, and
Mhm.
just very much just like the catchy pop song. And so when I heard Soda Pop, I was like, this is it. This is the one. The thing that sucks is like this was like the Saja Boys' song to basically indoctrinate everyone into their pride and stealing their souls. But you know, it's a catchy song. What can I say? And then my second favorite song, which I think is a super underrated song that no one talks about, is the duet "Free." I love,
Free. I
yeah,
liked
I
Free. It was
love
so
Free.
good.
It's one it's such a great song, and I know like there's a lot of songs. All of the songs are great, but no one talks enough about Free. That is it is such a great song. The lyrics are also pretty deep, and like it's like it's a love, you know, obviously like a love song disguised in it, as well as like talking about like helping each other break away from your, you know, like shame and being free of who you are. But man, that song is so good. What are your favorite songs?
So again, I was talking to Scally, and he was like, "You got to tell me what your favorite songs are." So I immediately was listening to it, and I was like, "Oh, I like this one. I like this one." And I had spoken to Dominic Cesternino a couple days ago, and he
Oh,
told me,
okay.
"Yeah,
Yes.
he told me get off your PC and go watch K-pop Demon Hunters." Those are his exact words. And
Yes.
I was like, "All right, cool." But I asked him, I said, well, "What's your favorite song?" And he said, "I like Soda Pop and The Idol." So I told
Okay.
Scally, I said, "Those are Dominic's favorite songs," and he said, "Oh, well, one of those I like." And I said, "Oh, okay." So when I heard Soda Pop, I said, "I really like Soda Pop." And he was like, "Yeah, it had to grow on me." So Scally is not a Soda Pop fan,
Mm,
but I
hmm.
liked it because I too like
Like,
the kind of bubblegum pop songs. Like I mentioned BTS earlier, but like Butter, you know, songs
yes,
like that where it's just like you just up and dancing around, you know, or all the
exactly.
yeah, like all the K-pop, what Jason Derulo crossovers that they have. Like I like that kind of stuff. Let them dance
Yeah.
in the street like Michael Jackson. Like that's the kind of stuff I like. So Soda Pop definitely stood out. The very first song that they the what is it? How's it done? How it's
Now
done? I
it's
think
done, done,
I
done.
I like it. I do.
Yes.
But yeah, but that's kind of fits my personality. I'm the guy who's dancing with the sunglasses on in the club. You know, like that's
Yeah,
kind of me.
exactly. Doing this.
But yeah, a lot of great songs throughout this. And the soundtrack does go off and basically get a life of its own. I've been seeing, like I said, online. People have been talking about the music. They're all over the charts. I think Billboard had said something like, "Oh, K-pop Demon Hunters is like one of the first girl group songs that is like gone #1 on Billboard since Destiny's Child," which is crazy.
That's a
Um,
crazy stat.
yeah, it was something to that effect, and I was like, "This is nuts," considering it's a cartoon. But I do think that if you are a K-pop fan or if you just like pop music, that these songs kind of transcend the movie, right? Like we know what they're
Mhm.
about because we watched the movie. But if they were to drop on the radio, or like on TikTok specifically, I could see them all taking a life of their own, just like they did with this. They don't really need the movie to make these songs pop.
Exactly. So this movie is it's an American movie. It's an English movie about Korea. But even these songs have taken the Korean charts as well. I think for ever since the movie came out on the Korean charts, also Golden is #1 and Soda Pop is #2. Like just like so this movie is also just embraced all over, including Korea, that loves this movie. And I think with the Billboard, I last week when I was just checking, I wonder where, like, you know, because I was only aware that Golden was #1 and Soda Pop was #2, and just kind of like that was pretty consistent. I just looked at the billboards last week. Every single song on that soundtrack is in the top 30. All
Mm-hmm.
of them, including Free, including Your Idol. It's crazy how these songs have transcended just everywhere. And like to your point, they're just catchy. They're just catchy songs. They're fun top 40. Like, you know, we're just having a good time with this. And it's also just very fun to see all of these songs, and they're all produced by real K-pop producers. So for example, um Rumi and Jinu, they have separate singing voice actors,
Mm-hmm.
and their singing voice actors, EJ and Andrew Choi, they're all producers for and songwriters and composers for famous K-pop groups such as Red Velvet and EXO. And so all of these people have been around the block, and it's cool to see just these girl group songs and these guy group songs, and just all of this like taking over and just everyone embracing it too. I think this is one of the like the K-pop fandom is very spicy, but I think this is one of the few things where the K-pop, a lot of people have unified of just there's like whether or not you like this movie also just depends, like, do you like kids movies, do you like animation, etc. But like the amount of just this movie's fine, like everything always has to be I hate this, I love this, but just no, like just the collective this is a cool movie, or this movie is fine at best, is I've never seen that before in this fandom. Just everyone having fully embraced this movie to enjoy and watch, and also just everywhere around the world, because very clearly everyone's listening to these songs.
Yeah, I saw a Variety article, I think it was, that said the K-pop Demon Hunters soundtrack had 4 songs in the Billboard Top 100 top 10 at the same exact time. It's the first time it's ever happened. So you have Golden, Your Idol, Soda Pop, and then How It's Done comes in at the number 10 spot. And I mean, there have been other times where songs have made it into the top 10 from different soundtracks, like Waiting to Exhale. But this is the first time it's ever happened at the same exact time. And people are loving it. You're right. I haven't seen anybody saying anything negative about it. Like I think that what you said, like, is it the greatest movie that ever existed? Probably no. But I think it's kind of like universally beloved, right? Like if you like it or if you watch it, you don't hate it. But if you like it, you probably love it. It's one of those. It's a good movie. It has a good soundtrack, good songs, it's well produced, and the story is pretty cool. Because when we pick up kind of where they meet at this, they're doing an autograph signing and stuff like that. This is where the diss track comes out, because they have to realize that they have to get these fans back. The Saja Boys are taking over, and they're taking over in order to steal these souls from all the fandom. And the fandom is turning. Even Bobby, their stage manager, is kind of Bobby jumped ship. What do you think about Bobby? I liked him.
I like Bobby too. I feel like it's such a Ken Jeong character to just have this super bubbly stage manager who is super supportive and super down for the girls, but also is just like, oh, these people are catchy as well. And if you think about it, Zoe is also like on the border of jumping ship, like throughout the whole entire movie, because 1, she's in love, and 2, just absolutely just singing and humming the songs and Soda Pop the whole entire time. But I do like Bobby. This is what I was saying at the beginning. We see Bobby more than Seline, and Bobby has been, and obviously part of the movie is just they're trying to turn everyone into the pride. But Bobby has been a much more supportive character on the surface level than Seline ever has.
He's a real stan, and I think that's the thing too. Like with standoms, sometimes they come and they go. You find the next hotness, and then you if once it gets more popular, people go over to that new thing. And so Bobby, we don't get a lot of like his backstory, how he gets here, because he just seems like a genuine fan of Huntrix. He wants to see them do well. He's not in on the demon conversations. He doesn't know anything going on with the Golden High Moon or anything like that.
Exactly.
But when the Saja Boys pull up, he's kind of like, the songs are good,
I know.
And, maybe I can stand both.
Exactly. And like that's such a good point. Like when he's looking at the charts and listening to songs, he's like, oh man, the Saja Boys are there, but he never ditches Huntrix ever. He never ditches his girls. He's all about his girls all the time. And honestly, he's one of the people too that supports them going on a break. The only reason they're not on a break is because Rumi needed to push the Han Moon and needed to push Golden. But aside from that, like he supports all the girls like having their own fun and having their own identity, just obviously unknowing of Rumi being a demon, but he supports all of them.
And it looks like for a second Genu is all in on Rumi's plan to throw the competition. They're supposed to have this big international idol competition, and they're like, okay, if I can make the Saja Boys lose, Rumi will be able to save the day, and then maybe I can exercise this demon for me, and I can maybe forget a lot of the shame I have from leaving my family out to dry long ago. But Guima is able to kind of shift him back over. They end up kind of pretending that they're in a big fight. The Saja Boys are like, oh yeah, they can't go on yet, so we're gonna make Rumi and the girls go up. Huntrix gets ready to perform, but it's a big trap, right? So they separate the girls, they get Rumi on stage by herself, and then they expose her and all her scars, and that she's a demon in front of everybody. But I think the public kind of looks at this as, this is the Huntrix's public breakup on stage.
Yes.
You know, they basically get in a fight right in front of all their fans, and now they're at their lowest. I think this is when the fandom is completely gone, and they're all Team Saja Boys.
Exactly. And obviously, the fandom has no idea about the demons or everything that's happening in the background with the lore. But from a surface level, it's just these girls are fighting on stage. And it's really unfortunate, too, because it's all staged. Even Mira and Zoe, they're trapped, and Bobby into thinking that Bobby was kidnapped. Like, and even them watching on the on the screen of just, oh my god, like Rumi's alone, like we got to save her. And it's honestly a really sad turning point and scene on a whole lot of levels. One, just the fact that they find out Rumi has been lying to them this entire time, and it's really sad when they realize this, and Mira and Zoe raised their weapons at Rumi, and I was like, oh my god, like they are. She's a demon, therefore they have to do what they have to do, and that was so sad to see. And then on the other level with Genu, this is where we reveal the plot twist that he willingly abandoned his mom and sister to sell his soul to the devil and have a rich palace life. Because up until this point, you think that Genu sold himself to the devil so that him, his sister, and his mom can all live in the palace, but it was only for Genu himself and how selfish he was.
Yeah. So now we know that we've pretty much hit our lowest point as far as the Hunters go, because they've had this breakup. The fans are Team Saja Boys. Genu is kind of won in this situation because this was his goal. Because he's doing all of this so that Guimar would erase his memories. He doesn't want to feel the shame of this thing that he did so long ago. But the Huntrixes, they do reunite. They end up having to talk basically about how each of them kind of has their own shame and their own insecurities, right? Even when they're arguing, it kind of comes out that we know Mira, she comes from a background where she's kind of like the black sheep of her family.
Exactly.
She comes from a troubled past. And Zoe's thing is that she doesn't belong anywhere, that she kind of feels like she doesn't really fit in with anything. So each of them has their own thing that's kind of making them relate to Rumi and, you know, her issues with being half demon. But this is not how they save the day. They end up having to ultimately, I think Rumi has to come out and kind of face her shame on her own in a way. You know, they do join her for one last performance. But for a minute, I didn't see how this was going to end.
Mm-hmm. I really liked the ending a lot because when Rumi, so at this point we have Rumi for now finally visiting Seline for the first time in the whole entire movie in the present, and Rumi is now fully fledged with these scars. The demon scars are glowing, and Seline is looking at her like, oh my gosh, like what just happened here? And Rumi really confronts Seline, and it's just, why didn't you? It's actually very dark. Why didn't you just kill me off when you saw the scars? Yeah, exactly, because I'm a demon. And we find out that Seline, because of the relationship with Rumi's mom, was just unable to kill her, but would raise her as her own. But then as Rumi is just trying to explain to Seline, like these scars, they're not going away, Seline is still hell-bent on, but we can hide them. Like, don't, like wear this jacket, it's gonna be fine. And Rumi's like, we've passed this point. And this is where we find out just how much of a bad, influential character Seline has been to Rumi's identity.
Yeah, because Rumi's like, take me out now.
Exactly.
I'm done. I'm a demon. I'm not helping. The honeymoon is destroyed. Like, I'm not bringing anything to the table right now. And Celine's like, no, you still must hide your fears and your faults to protect the honeymoon. And that Rumi's like, that doesn't matter anymore. Like, you made that up. And so it's not going to work. And so I guess she leans into the opposite, right? It's to really confront these things that she's been hiding. And she basically comes in and she's like, I got my singing voice back because I've been so open with Genu about, her insecurities and her shame. And so that's kind of what really is the thing that allows her to go and sing. And and confront these demons, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. It's I think she says in the movie, like, the Han moon that's breaking right now is based off of fear and guilt and shame, and this isn't the Han moon that she wants to protect, and she's glad that it's about to be destroyed, and she's now going to make a new Han moon, a Han moon that is about embracing yourself and loving who you are. And to your point about how this was going to end, I loved the final song and how everyone just comes together on stage in the end to fight all of the demons and to help protect all of the fans whose souls are being taken away by Guima and being fed into this huge Guima character. And it's fun to see the three come together, because now Mira and Zoe snapped out of it and they're fighting the demons, they're fighting the Saja Boys and everything. But then, as Guima is witnessing all of this, he just kind of balloons into this just huge Guima and of just I am about to take everyone out here and envelop the whole country with just and destroy the Han moon. But as Rumi is struggling with her sword to defeat Guima, Genu sacrifices himself so that he can feed whatever soul he has left of himself to Rumi and give Rumi strength. And it's also within that moment that the souls of the fans, they start going to Rumi, Zoe, and Mira instead, so that all three of them together can defeat Guima.
Yeah. And it's a very cool scene, you see Gino making the ultimate sacrifice, and obviously, like I said, I didn't trust this man, and so I was very happy that he did this. I was happy he did it, because I was like, okay, you finally win me over, because I wasn't in on the romance. I just wasn't. I was like, he's too old for you. Like it's 40.
Yeah.
Stop it. But yeah, so they end up harnessing the power and the souls of their fans that were still around, and they end up taking out Guima. And the Huntress win, their fans are back, and then they can finally go to the bathhouse and celebrate and, kind of live in the fandom that they have. And that's essentially the movie, the big points. But there are so many smaller points throughout the movie, and I feel like you have more insight into this than we kind of touched on. Is there any other part of the movie that we kind of glossed over that you want to highlight?
Now, let's see. Well, going off of, because after this movie ended, I just had to read every single interview that ever happened and existed. With the romance between Genu and Rumi, there is a kissing scene. Apparently, there is actually, or it was supposed to be in the script, and then the director Maggie Kang, she said they cut it out of the script because restraint is sexy. That's exactly what she says. And I was like, oh, I actually really like that. But to your point, I honestly sometimes, like, it's not about the romance of it all. It's about just the relationship and just how they help each other out. So I didn't even need them to, like, just kiss, but I just loved seeing how both of them ended up growing, the ultimate sacrifice, how just and just how, honestly, more than a romance, they just kind of sort of were, like, not friends, because they're definitely not friends, but just understood. They understood each other.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm directing this and I'm thinking, do we give her a love interest who will die at the end of this, or are we thinking sequel? There's potentially the opportunity to bring in another boy band, or to explore this with maybe like a super fan or the group or something like that. And you don't really want to tie her to somebody who's 400 years old. To me, I felt like that would have been closing an avenue that you definitely would be able to explore a little bit more if you say, okay, that was a thing that could have happened. We enjoyed the journey, but it ended, right? If it ends with him, like them falling in love and then him making the ultimate sacrifice, kind of is on a sour note for Rumi, who's just going through a lot.
True.
Yeah, where it's like, this feels more like, okay, the man had to go. She's able to move on, and we can explore other love interests in the future. So I'm okay with that. I agree. The big storyline here.
Yes, I completely agree. Whether or not it's a prequel or a sequel that comes out, there's a lot that can be introduced, like Guima. Like, is that the last of Guima? Who knows? So there's obviously other ways that we can introduce different characters down the line. Did you know, by the way, that Guima, the voice actor for Guima is Lee Byung-hun from Squid Games, who is oh God, I forget I'm forgetting his name, but
I think he's
like
the front
the
man,
game
right?
master. Yeah, yeah, he's
Yeah.
the front man. Yeah.
That's crazy. No, I actually didn't. I didn't pick up on that. It's crazy because we covered that right here on Nothing But Netflix, and I didn't recognize his voice. I guess I was still in animated mode, I guess, and I didn't think about it. But yeah, I'll probably watch it again and be listening for it because yeah, the front man was such a big character in Squid Game. I'm not shocked that they would use him in this
Mhm.
role for sure because I mean, I think prior to K-pop Demon Hunters, Squid Game was like the big one for Netflix, so they kind of just dipped into their own bag for this one.
Absolutely. I was really shocked that he ended up being the voice of Guima. It's very fitting too because I feel like he has such a powerful voice, and he's a huge actor in Korea as well. So it was kind of fun to just see him looped into this movie. The voice actor who plays Rumi. Have you ever watched anything with Arden Cho?
I don't think so. What has she been in?
So it's funny because I would say the Netflix movie, the two things that I think she would be most recognized in is she has a Netflix TV show called Partner Track, where I think it's just about a lawyer and just surviving as a lawyer. And there's also Teen Wolf, and I know she's a character on Teen Wolf, but I didn't watch that show though.
Mm.
But where I actually recognize Arden Cho is she started off as YouTube before she blew up as an actor. So it's one of those things that's really cool for me to see Arden Cho as just like this, as this YouTuber. She's featured in a lot of skits with people like Ryan Higa and everything, but then now seeing her and like, look, she's like the biggest the biggest character of this movie, and I was really happy to see her succeed in this.
Oh, okay. I just checked out her Wikipedia. She's June
Yes.
the Bounty Hunter on Avatar: The Last Airbender live
Yes, the
action.
live action.
I didn't peep that, and we definitely talked about that on Nothing But Netflix. I'm very excited for if they ever bring us the second season to
I
Avatar: Airbender live action because it was supposed to be in the works.
Yes, I think it's being filmed right now. Both the Book of Earth and Fire, like those are going to be seasons. So which means that Arden is going to come back because of book 2. So I'm also very excited for that.
Yeah, no, that's dope. That's dope. I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you haven't caught that recap, if you're listening to this, go check it out on our website on nothingbutpod.com, or you can go to robhasawebsite.com and check out our older Nothing But Netflix content. But we definitely stop down and talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender every chance we get. And I think that might have been the last animated thing we talked about. And so
Oh,
that wasn't animated. I mean, obviously that was
oh
live
yeah, yeah,
action.
yeah, yeah.
This, but this would be probably the first animated thing we've talked about on Nothing But Netflix in a very long time, if ever. And I think this is the perfect time because this is probably the biggest movie that Netflix is going to have until the next one of these comes out.
Exactly. I think I also read a stat that this movie beat Red Notice as the most watched Netflix movie of all time, which for the record, I can't believe it was Red Notice, but that's a different
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a different topic. That being said, this movie, because it's short, because it's so catchy, it's so easy for just kids to loop. So it makes sense that this is being one of the most watched movies of all time. But the fact that it's still relevant, the fact that we're still watching it, that we had to open this movie in theaters, is incredible to me. Just the legs that this has, and like. I in my heart of hearts, because I have a job that's in the entertainment industry. I'm just like, can this movie win? Can this movie win win
Yeah.
awards and be like a best animated movie, like go to the Oscars, like take it all. I would love to see that. I think that I know that there are rules that has to be followed. For example, this movie has to be in theaters for at least 1 week, I think, for it to
Mhm.
qualify for award season. But there's just so much heart in this movie, and I would love to see a movie just about just Asian culture of some kind, and also something that I'm really close to be like awarded just because not only is it just a fun kids movie, but there's just a lot that was put into this.
Yeah, and not to date the podcast too much, but we're creeping up on Halloween. I can imagine that this is going to
Hmm.
be a very popular Halloween costume
Oh,
theme for a lot of
100%.
kids.
Yeah, we're gonna see a lot of Huntrixes out there. It would like, especially like Rumi, like look at their hair, like that, like
Hmm.
every like this is gonna be a Halloween cosplay for years to come. Like and I think we're gonna definitely be seeing that. Oh,
Yeah.
also, one thing that we didn't talk about in is just the appearance of this bird and tiger that come yeah, that come from the demon world. So Genu's animal posse is what I like to call them. Of just It's just a bird and a tiger that are prominent figures that come from Genu's world, but they end up becoming friends with Rumi as we're kind of progressing this relationship, and to the point that like like I'm one of those people. I was talking about this with my partner, but like I love ugly looking things. Like, and I really like the tiger, and just sort of like the way that the tiger's drawn. It's not, it's not meant to be a cute tiger, but I just love that. I love how it's just like this fluorescent ass looking tiger, and it's just very very cute. And it's those that bird and the tiger is actually based off of this Korean painting. And so it's called the Magpie and the Tiger, and it's supposed to represent it's supposed to represent nobility and the common man being together and living in harmony. So like, which can be interpreted in a lot of different ways, obviously, but it was cool to see just that drawn in the movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed them as well. I kept wondering, okay, like how long are we going to keep the demon spirits around? Because their whole vibe is that, hey, we have to kill the demons, right? We're destroying
Yes.
them, but like meanwhile, Rumi's walking around with Jinu's pets, and we don't really see what happens with them. So I don't know if they would make a reappearance in a film in the future as well. Like I think they kind of leave that open ended for us later on, because we assume this is not going to be the last we see of the K-pop Demon Hunters, and so I'll be
Mm-mm.
staying tuned to kind of keep up with what's coming up next. But no, Alyssa, this was very good. Thank you so much for recommending this, because I have been thinking about watching it, but when I saw you mention it in Discord, I was like, okay, if you're willing to talk about it, I'm willing to talk about it here on Nothing But Netflix.
It's so funny too, because I was just like, oh, I can't. Like, just me waiting on my hands. Like, I can't wait for Chappelle to cover this movie. Is he gonna go like who like he so like I that this episode's got to happen. It's been number one. I'm just waiting here, and then when on the Discord when you commented, hey, if you like, I'll do this if you want to be a guest. I was like, wait, sign me up. Hold on, and wait a minute. So I'm happy. I was happy to be here, and I'm happy to talk about K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah, and for our listeners who's not very familiar with you, because this is, I believe, your Rob Has a Podcast official podcast debut. Tell everybody else what kind of shows you watch, what you're interested in, what other things that you are doing in the meantime until maybe the next time you pop up here on Nothing But Netflix.
Yes, of course. So, my name's Alyssa, and I'm a patron of Rob Has a Podcast. And I like to, obviously, like, we're all here for Survivor and just like all the usual stuff. But in terms of where my interests lie, I like watching a lot of international shows. So, I like watching the international versions of Traders, and I like watching the international versions of Survivor, of course. And currently, right now, I'm watching the UK version of Love Is Blind, as
Mhm.
well as I finished a Japanese dating show called Offline Love, where it's about 10 people that are put in a city in France, and they don't have their phones on them, and they can only navigate going around the city by using map using map writing one letter to a person every day. So this whole experiment takes 10 days, and you can write a letter to a random person that hey, like, meet up with me, only just based off their name, just straight up based off of the, like, you don't know what they look like or anything, and then just hope that you meet in the right location. And just also just fate of walking around and hoping you just see another confused like person, just and hoping they're part of the TV show.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And that's on Netflix?
That is on Netflix. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna check that out too because it's very interesting. I never, we've gotten so accustomed to having these phones and stuff like that that now imagining a world where you have to send a letter to somebody to communicate, it's kind of
Yes.
odd.
It is kind of odd. I honestly remember just thinking about even because I think we're around ish the same age. Just thinking about when you wanted to communicate with someone, you had to call them on their landline and
Yeah,
say, "Hey, we're meeting at the movies at 6," and then hope that there's no
hope they
traffic
show up.
and
Yeah.
hope they show up. Yeah, like there was no other way around it. So I'm really drawn to that type of show, and it's very very fun. But yeah, it's I'm very much into international reality TV, like also like the Genius and the Devil's Plan.
Okay. Yeah. We had a good time talking about it. This time we didn't get to cover the Devil's Plan this time around because my co-host Scally was locked up doing a lot of other stuff, and so we didn't
Mhm.
get to it. And the Nothing But Netflix cycle moves very quickly.
Yes, exactly.
Overall recap kickback. We actually Marty and I were talking about like if I could, because I think one of my blind spots is that when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of anime, but then like as I
Oh,
got older, I don't watch it as much. And Marty's
mhm.
watching Attack on Titan for the fourth or fifth time, I think, again. And she's like, you should watch more anime or whatever. But I can never find nobody who consistently talk about it. Do you watch anime as well?
I love anime. In fact, I feel like at any given day, I'm watching like 3 animes kind of currently airing at a time. I like right now, I'm watching an anime called Kaiju Number 8 and Doctor Stone, and they're just like things that are kind of currently airing.
Mm,
My favorite animes are it's a volleyball anime called Haikyuu,
mm.
as well as a basketball anime called Slam Dunk, and they're just I very much enjoy that genre. So if you ever want to dabble, if you and Mari want to dabble in more anime, I am happy to talk about it because there's so much to talk about. And if there was ever a case where an anime was in the top 10, I would also be down to talk about it. And or if you just wanted to be like, hey, this is just a summary episode. What are like the top 5 animes on Netflix right now in the month of August? And I'd be like, it's this. And I'd be able to pinpoint that.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Alyssa, thank you
Yes.
so much for being here and talking to me about K-pop Demon Hunters. I'm sure people are going to get a kick out of this. This will be available on the RHAP YouTube page, as well as, of course, on We Know Reality TV and We Know Scripted TV.com, and of course on nothingbutpod.com, where you can subscribe to this podcast. Alyssa, in the meantime, you got anything else going on? Where can people follow you if they want to follow you? Where can they keep up with you? Where can they find you?
So I don't. I'm so I have an Instagram that I'm not really active. Like the Instagram's more about me looking at the reels and the pictures more than me actually like posting on it. But if you felt like following me, it's triangle underscore C. It's like sort of my universal username also for like all of like my gaming consoles. So that is so you can go ahead and follow me there. It has a little bit, but I'm not that active. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is on social media about me right now.
Look, and that's okay. And that
Yes,
is okay. And if you are an RHAP patron, you can obviously find Elisa in the Discord because that's how I found her.
yes,
And I'm sure she'd be willing to talk about K-pop Demon Hunters ad nauseum because this was such a good time. But obviously, there's so much more to talk about in that movie too. So make sure you reach out, show Elisa some love, and then also make sure you're subscribed to the podcast on what is this? Nothingbutpod.com. This is a great time. This is such a great time. I've thoroughly enjoyed talking about this movie. I'm happy I watched it. Now I can tell Dominic Cesternino that I got off my butt, got off my PC, grew up,
yes,
and watched this movie, and I have my favorites. And so,
yes.
yeah. Hopefully people enjoyed this and they will tune in next time to whatever we have talking about on Netflix. I believe we're talking about if it's not already out by now, then it'll be out by the time this drops for sure. The Thursday Murder Club. Grace is going to be joining me to talk about that movie
Ooh,
on Netflix. Yeah, and so tune in and make sure you subscribe and follow me on all social media platforms at Recap Kickback to keep up with what I have going on. Thank you all for listening. We'll talk to y'all next time. Peace.